The staff started an investigation to ascertain the truth. Under the guise of a campaign aimed at all customers, 10,000 yen discount coupons were distributed only to 3 suspicious Chinese men. Then, in early August, the man who introduced himself as Yun at the beginning of the first part of the article made a reservation at the store. When he showed up at the hotel on the day of the reservation, he was severely questioned, and he began to speak with fear.
First, he revealed that he was bisexual, and said that the other 2 were friends. When I asked him about HIV infection, he started talking in fear about his horrendous selfish act. It is said that they held an orgy once a month with international students from Southeast Asia, mainly Chinese. There were about 10 men and women in total. However, earlier this year, one of the members was tested after returning to China and found to be infected with HIV. All 3 of them were also tested and found positive. According to him, he was in despair, but he couldn't control his sexual desire. So, he hid the fact that he was infected with HIV, and searched for a brothel that accepts Chinese people and where he could have sex. So, when he consulted with a man who runs an erotic aesthetic salon and is familiar with the adult business in the area, the man introduced him to our shop. Yun told his 2 other friends who were also HIV infected about this, and one of them started saying, "Anyway, I'll be in Japan for another year, and after graduating from graduate school, I have to go back to China. There are no good adult shops in my hometown, so let's have fun while we're at it. We've been infected with HIV. There's nothing we can do about it. Let's just spread it around through the brothels and take a lot of Japanese people with us."
Thus, these 3 men went on a rampage. They planned their strategy first. They chose women who were popular because of their appearance and play content and shared information such as who was likely to transmit HIV to other customers and whether they accepted the act without contraceptives. After that, for several months, he chose a woman whom he had decided as a target and continued to engage in sexual activities with her. There was clear malice to transmit HIV beyond the release of libido. This selfish act robbed the women of their future. Like Karen, who appeared in the first part. Mireille, pseudonym 24 years old, who was scheduled to graduate from an art university in Tokyo next spring, was also a victim.
Once you start working in the sex industry, it's hard to quit. It's easy to earn more than 100,000 yen a day. I'm originally from Yamaguchi Prefecture, and my goal is to enter an art college in Tokyo after graduating from high school. However, in a single mother household, of course, there was no possibility of that. So, for 2 years after graduating from high school, while working at a temporary agency, I went to an art college prep school, paid for tuition, and saved up an admission fee. After that, I passed the entrance exam to an art university. However, it was impossible to pay the tuition fees for art university with just a normal part-time job. That's why I continued as a sex worker even after I entered school.
It is said that she started working at the store, where the incident occurred in October 2021, while moving around downtown areas such as Gotanda and Shinjuku.
At the time, I was obsessed with earning money. I was busy with my graduation work at art school, and my expenses were piling up. Although they were rough in bed, the Chinese customers were happy to pay, and so were the Chinese people who gave me HIV. That's why even if I was forced to drink semen, I could endure it. Such perverts will become repeat customers if you properly satisfy their desires. But I had no idea it was to transmit HIV. I really have nothing but regrets.
Knowing that you are infected with HIV and knowingly passing it on to a third party is a crime of bodily harm. In fact, in 2017 an incident occurred in Italy in which a man who concealed his HIV status and intentionally had sexual relations with more than 50 women infected a total of 32 people. He was then sentenced to 24 years in prison. However, this time Karen and Mireille said they were unable to consult with the police or lawyers, partly because they were guilty of providing illegal services, even though they had given their consent. What is most worrisome is the possibility that this incident will lead to the spread of HIV in Japan. Karen and Mireille had been coming to work for 6 months since January when they had their first Chinese customers. In both cases, They had an average of 5 or more customers per day at a pace of 3 to 5 times a week, so the two of them had more than 1,000 customers in total. It is also possible that the customers are using a different sex shop. In addition, the person may have sexual intercourse with his lover, wife, mistress, etc. without realizing it. Most people don't realize it yet, but there's a good chance that the HIV epidemic is starting to spread beneath the surface.